The first sign I noticed was how often I said, maybe later, later to visits, later to walks, later to phone calls. It sounded harmless, responsible, even. But later quietly became not anymore. Have you noticed how postponing small things slowly steals momentum without making noise? If this message reached you at the right moment, please take a second to like this video. It helps these words find others who may be quietly drifting without realizing it. And consider subscribing to this channel. Friends aged differently. Some stayed active. Others slowly disappeared from life without any dramatic event. No illness. No crisis. Just fewer calls, fewer outings, fewer reasons to get dressed in the morning. I watched it happen and thought, that won't be me. The second sign was physical, but subtle. I moved less because it felt easier. Sat longer because it felt earned. I didn't feel sick, just slower. But bodies listen to habits more than intentions. Strength fades when it isn't invited to stay. Did you ever assume decline was inevitable when it was actually optional? Then one day I realized my world had become smaller too. Not because I was weak, not because I was sick, but because I had stopped paying attention to certain choices. Small ones, comfortable ones. The kind you don't notice until they add up. I also stopped learning new things. I told myself I had done enough. That curiosity belonged to younger people. That belief aged me faster than any number. The mind, like the body, shrinks when it isn't challenged. Have you felt your interests narrowing without deciding to let them go? When I turned 60, I felt relieved. I thought the hardest years were behind me. Work slowed down. Responsibilities eased. I told myself I had earned rest. What I didn't realize was that rest, when misunderstood, can slowly turn into retreat. Have you ever noticed how easy it is to step back without meaning to? I also changed how I thought about aging. I stopped seeing it as a slow exit and started seeing it as a different role. Slower doesn't mean useless. Quieter doesn't mean invisible. Older doesn't mean finished. That shift alone returned a sense of dignity I didn't know I had lost. Stay with me, because in the final part I'll tell you the simple shift that stopped this drift for me and how you can make it now, before life quietly steps past you. If you're over 60 and listening, hear this clearly. You don't need a complete reinvention. You need a small interruption to the drift, one habit, one connection, one reason to get dressed tomorrow. Life doesn't reopen all at once. It opens one door at a time. Stay with me, because in the next part I'll tell you what I began to see after 60 and why so many people don't realize what's happening until it's painfully hard to reverse. The change didn't come from motivation or discipline. It came from one decision. I stopped waiting to feel ready. I chose action before comfort. A short walk even when I didn't feel like it. A phone call even when it felt awkward. Small movements back toward life instead of sitting still and observing it pass. I'm 80 now. My life is simpler, but it's fuller. I still feel my age. I still have quiet days. But I no longer feel like I'm slowly disappearing. I chose to stay present. And presence, I've learned, is what keeps a life alive. I was lucky I noticed in time. Many don't. They wake up one day and realize their world is smaller, quieter, and harder to re-enter. And they can't remember exactly when it happened. only that it did. This channel exists to touch lives, to keep older voices heard, and to remind us that growing older does not mean stepping out of life. Thank you for staying until the end. It means more than you know. None of these signs were dramatic. That's what makes them dangerous. They wear comfortable clothes. They speak in reasonable tones. They tell you you've earned rest. But rest without intention slowly turns into retreat, and retreat turns life into observation instead of participation. At 80, there's one sentence I wish someone had said to me when I was 60. Not to scare me, not to lecture me, just to prepare me. Because what changes after 60 doesn't arrive loudly. It arrives quietly while you think you still have time. In my younger years, life was crowded. Work, family, noise, constant movement. Silence was rare. Later, silence became common, and at first, I welcomed it. But silence changes when it lasts too long. It stops feeling peaceful and starts asking questions you don't want to answer. I began showing up again. Not perfectly, not every day, but consistently. I moved my body a little. I spoke to people a little. I learned one small new thing at a time. And something surprising happened. Energy followed action, not the other way around. Have you noticed how life responds when you take the first step? This isn't a warning about death. It's a warning about drifting, about slowly stepping out of your own life while telling yourself everything is fine. I didn't understand that until it almost happened to me. Another change was social. I stopped showing up first. I waited for invitations. When they came less often, I blamed others. The truth was uncomfortable. Presence needs practice. When you withdraw, even gently, the world learns to continue without you.